you are forcing this legitimately as a linguistic imperialization, you know? This isn't coming from the Filipino people. This isn't coming from this is coming from woke ideology. This is coming from even outside of Filipinos. You know, this is being influenced by external forces into the Filipino people. So it's not like it's a natural progressing thing like, hey, we are identified as a people, as the real Filipino people. Like this is something that we have grown to become. Like, no. Alright, getting back into it. I am here. What's up, you guys? Coming to you with another video. And we are talking about Filipinx. Yeah, let's get into it. But first, of course, if you're new to my channel, what is up? My name is Mitch, Maverick Mitch. Hey Mitch, all the Mitches, and pretty much I like talking about what I talk about. So, current events, reviews, pop culture within the scope of entertainment, culture, and purpose. So, TV, movie reviews, social political commentary. Be sure to check out all those videos as you're finishing this video. So a couple of videos ago, I did a video on like woke Filipinos and how their perspective is shaped upon like this Americanism, the American dream, and post-colonialism and all this stuff and Western civilization. And so I kind of want to dive again with Filipinx, right? And it's one of those things on my channel that I like talking against. And just for putting it out there, you can see my other videos I have done on this. And you know, when it comes on the individual level, I have said like, I really don't care that you want to identify as however you want to, but if you are expecting me to use Filipinx as a plurality when it is only refers to the minority of the minority, then I have issues. When you are saying legit like cancel Filipino because you feel like it's problematic, when none of us, when the normal people don't even subscribe or even know what Filipinx is, then we have an issue. So what I want to do is do a reaction video coming from the Meaning of Life podcast, in which Filipinos, actual Filipinos from the Philippines, was talking about how this Filipinx is and apparently why is it silly, right? And that's also one thing that I want to touch upon, like this Filipinx is not coming from the native Filipinos, motherland Filipinos, but from the woke American Filipinos inserting themselves into this. And that's one thing that I mentioned in other videos, is that one thing about the Filipinx is that it is a critique on Western civilizations and like all of these colonizers taking over. If you are a liberal, woke SJW inserting your woke ideology onto the Filipino people, native Filipino people, you are no different than the colonizers that you're trying to critique, right? And so it's stupid all in general. So I kind of want to just put that out there. It's kind of like a preface to get into this video, and then we'll just talk some more.
For this episode, Ange and I talk about the word and term Filipinx and why the hell it's so silly. Or maybe it's not. Hope you enjoy. Filipinx.
Really? Filipino. Why? First of all, why?
What do you think about it?
Filipinx, XY, or whatever. Like, it's so pointless. People keep directing, like, okay, it's gender neutrality, but that isn't where it lies. It's a word that has existed for years and years and years and years and years and years. And people are directing attention to the wrong things to be able to achieve this gender neutrality that they're fighting for. So, wala. I don't think it's necessary at all.
So that's something that I kind of want to touch upon, is that, you know, again, like the Filipinos in native land Philippines is like already think this is silly, right? But one thing that I want to touch upon, like even within Philippines, the Tagalog language, and there's many dialects and languages in the Philippines, but the Tagalog like main dialect in a sense is gender neutral. Yes, there are foreign Spanish words, foreign English words that are inserted in the language, but Tagalog in itself is gender neutral. So it is so by putting this Filipinx is already stupid in that instance. So yeah.
Why don't we just call mankind people kind?
People kind. And yung history. History.
People story.
Her story.
Love.
Alam mo, Justin Trudeau actually got flamed for that.
For people story?
No. He used people kind. Like,
People
may nagsabi
kind.
kasi, like, he was doing a speech and he was like, oh, yeah. He's like, someone asked him, like, blah, 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 mankind. Tapos sabi niya, actually, around here, we say people kind. It was like,
Oh
I think I
no.
did hear about that.
meme siya or something, and he got flamed for it for being
Lauren Chen did a video.
or something. But it was a joke though. It was a joke.
Justin.
It was a joke by Justin. Anyway,
Yeah. That's
But
what always
let's-
happens.
let's play like devil's advocate because I'm I think it's fucking silly. It looks silly. It sounds silly. I think people who say it are silly. Joke lang.
Philippines.
But the logic is the people in the Philippines America or like people who don't live here in the Philippines, they use it because they feel more comfortable using it. They feel more represented using it, and they feel safer using it. And why are we raining on their parade? I mean, isn't every social movement caused by you give me more rights? I mean, let me rephrase that. You give me these rights doesn't mean I'm taking away from your rights. Diba?
Yeah, yeah.
So, if we, like, the people who say that and identify as Filipinx, why is there bashing for them? Because we aren't getting hurt by it.
Okay, so I'll pause there and say, like, again, on an individual level, I'm pretty cool with it, right? Like, if you want to identify this as such, yeah, whatever. Like he was mentioning, like, then why are we making a fuss about this? Again, I'm not really concerned by the people who just want to use it as a colloquially, whatever, everyday type of thing. But there is a growing number of people. The loudest part, the more extreme part of it is saying like we should get rid of the actual Filipino and cancel the word Filipino. I have an issue with that, you know? And again, like I said in the beginning, like it's one thing that if you want to identify this as Filipinx, you as an individual, but if you want to expect me to use me as Filipinx when I don't identify as Filipinx, when you want to identify all Filipinos as Filipinx, then yes, I have an issue. Like you're actually trying to change things to make it as if this is normal, when it's not, because it only prescribes to the minority, like I said, the minority of the minority. And no, it's not gonna fly. So continue.
I mean, no
Yeah.
one's pushing it down our throats here in the Philippines.
Mhm.
So, what's so wrong about the word?
Well, well, yeah. I mean, I agree naman na. It's like,
So I will disagree with that. So he's saying like no one's forcing it down the people in the Philippines' throats. So like maybe so, but like when I see people, Filipino Americans, and this is a more of Filipino Americans things, I guess. But when you see these people showing like this is the Filipinx flag as if it's the Filipino flag, right? And it's like no, it's like it's a Filipino flag. It's the flag of the Republic of the Philippines. You know, like no, we're not doing this.
if it doesn't harm you, then you don't need to like, basically, you cancel it or whatever. But I don't know. It's just, parang if wait, in what context does it make it? In what context does Filipinx make it more representative for people in other countries? Like, how do they feel more represented when they use it?
Like, cause
Excellent point. At least what I'm trying to interpret what she's trying to convey is that, like, if you in the diaspora of Filipinos and they love using that word, and not to say that it's not true, but like there are Filipinos worldwide, right? Like not just in the U.S. but like in all throughout the Pacific, like Hawaii, Guam, Mariana Islands, Canada, and then going into Europe, and then there's Filipino workers in the Middle East and all that stuff. None of these Filipinos are using Filipinx, right? This is just very specific to America and the woke Filipinos. So,
yung Spanish and Latino community there, they now, I mean, I think it's like a popular thing now, or like it's like a progressive thing now to call them the Latinx community. Kasi Latino, Latina, di ba? Latinx community. And that's what they use. I mean, I've seen like sila yung mga president.
So yeah, I mean, yes, Filipinx actually was a bandwagon from the Latinx community. So like, oh yeah, like you guys are right for putting X in Latinx, and so like the woke Filipinos or the woke liberals or the woke SJWs picked up on it. So duh.
Potential candidates actually use that, so I think that's the accepted way of calling
Latinx.
people Latinx.
And also, just really on that note, like even my friends who are Latino, you know, and not even the conservative ones, like the ones who maybe are just like normies, if not like right left leaning, right? They're like, no, we good, we're Latino, right? And I'm seeing this on both sides, and it's stupid, and I'm glad that people are like realizing it as such.
It sounds weird too, but it's not in my place to say it sounds weird because I'm not
Yeah.
Spanish person or like Mexican, or whatever. But ayun,
Sorry, I'm pausing all the time, but it just this thing just gets me going as far as how I'm formulating this, and like where does it stop? Or is Italiano, you know, when people Italianx, like what other what other gender languages is there that we have to put this? Though it's really stupid, you know.
they use it. They identify by it like, diba yung sa transgender nga pronouns, diba? They get to use their pronouns, whatever pronoun they choose, and I support that because I don't think it harms anyone. Although, you know, I know a lot. There's a lot of debate around that on whether it should be law or something. But I digress. I guess that's
Yeah.
the context. Nagiging parang safe word siya to use to identify as a Filipino in like America. And I think yung problem lang is like if those people require us to use that here.
Yeah, exactly.
Bakit mo sinasabi Filipino? That's a gender insensitive, bro.
Oh my god.
We should use Filipino.
Sensitive.
That's very insensitive. I don't sound like a Filam at all. That sounds like a weird copy. Hindi nga Filipino accent yun. Anyway.
Ano yun?
But, ayun nga. I still think it's freaking silly. Because like, when you make a term like that, like Filipino, we identify with Filipinos. There's history there. There's the linguistics of it. There's the like it's more than just a word. It's a concept. It's a people. It's what our heroes fought for in the revolutions and everything.
So I also want to just touch upon that. Like, it's one thing that languages changes, right? It evolves and all this stuff, and that's one of the arguments I hear. Like, why can't we use it? Like, languages change. Like, it's okay to be more progressive and be more modern. Like all this stuff, but this is not coming naturally. You are forcing this legitimately as a linguistic imperialization, you know? This isn't coming from the Filipino people. This isn't coming from this is coming from woke ideology. This is coming from even outside of Filipinos. You know, this is being influenced by external forces into the Filipino people. So it's not like it's a natural progressing thing, like, hey, we are identified as a people, as the real Filipino people. Like, this is something that we have grown to become. Like, no, it's not. So.
And to just make, like, okay, sige, let's make Filipinx, even if its purpose is noble, like to make people feel included and safe, I feel like it's still freaking lazy just to copy, like, okay, just copy the Latino community. Let's say Latinx, so tayo rin.
Latinx.
And it disregards, parang, like, come on, Filipino means more than just a way of identification. It means history. It means what we stand for as Filipinos, even if medyo malabo na siya these days kasi
Exactly.
so many things have happened. But like, our heroes really did like fight for our independence and our revolution and all those noble things. Even if not all our heroes are great, medyo aginaldo. Pero
Oh my god.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll touch upon that point. You know, like Filipinos fighting for Filipinos. The word Filipinos, because yes, not all native Filipinos were Filipinos in the beginning, and that's one of the arguments, right? And so coming from the woke, but Philippines in itself, and it's funny because I do want to do a video on this because the introduction of Ferdinand Magellan into the Philippines, the 500th anniversary is in a few days from now. So I do want to talk about this a little bit more. But the point being is that there was no centralized government within the Philippines. There was multiple islands, there was multiple like governments and regions and tribes and everything, but it was a Spanish invention to make one nation. You know, and I always make this analogy when it comes to like the Jet Li movie Hero. Like one thing that he was fighting for was the one nation. Even though everyone this is the warring era within different regions and factions, but like he understood the one nation, and so. Filipinos, yes, while it is a Spanish invention and Filipinos was used to denote Spanish-born Filipinos type thing, but it later became Filipinos as in the native Filipinos encompassing that, right? And so the Filipinos fought for their independence and won, you know, and then the U.S. came in and made us a territory, and then we gained our independence after. But the point is, like, we as the Filipino people, right, was able to rally behind this idea of a one nation, right, type thing, and we embraced it. You know, we fought for it, you know? And to say that now you want to insert Filipinx kind of erases that history, right? And I wouldn't put it past woke ideology because they want a lot of things of the woke ideology, which is inserted with Marxism. They want to get rid of the past. They want to get rid of the traditions. They want to get rid of everything that represented the old ways, you know? And so that's the problem when it comes to Filipinx and progressives and this like woke ideology, which is inherently Marxism in itself. So continue.
just wish it was more legit in simple
If
terms.
why if you were given that chance to coin the gender neutral
I'm not a
term
linguist.
for Filipinos.
I'm not a linguist. I'm not a historian. I'm not.
Okay, I kind of like this. If you're gonna make something original, do it. Like something that me and my sister came up with was Filipino, which is French with the E-A-U ending, as well as there's people like to make fun of Filipinx. I would use Filipinx, just so that it seems a little bit more original and a little bit more unique in a sense. So not to say that I'm want to use that in replacement of Filipinx. I would only use that just as much as Gina Carano would use beep bop boop as her pronouns, right? So it is to make fun of the Filipinx, right, in the woke crowd.
Philippine I. Filipini.
Filipino is gender neutral. Pero if you were to make like
Ay, nako.
Philippine. Philippine.
Just so
You know what? Just
honestly.
just remove the last letter. Philippine.
Philippine.
So final thoughts, getting into it, you know, that was pretty cool. I liked this conversation. It was very casual, right? And so one, I will say, like, I'm glad that people are talking about this because there isn't a lot of people talking about this. I see a lot of people talking about Filipinx. I don't see a lot of people talking against Filipinx, right? And then again, it's not like on a surface level, it's kind of like based upon what they're talking about. Like, what's the issue? So a lot of people are not talking against Filipinx because they don't really see it as an issue. If people want to just use Filipinx, why not type thing. And so people are not talking about it. I take the stance that it is problematic. I take the stance that these, when it comes to, again, not the individual, but when it comes to the woke ideology inserting itself into popular culture, into normalization, into all of this stuff, I have an issue because you're erasing Filipino, right? And for the whether they want to admit it or not, that's what they're doing, right? And so I'm gonna take the most aggressive, more aggressive view. So again, when it comes to this podcast, again, it was cool that they're talking about this, all of this stuff, right? But I think when it comes to what they're mentioning is it's really surface level, and like they weren't getting into the nitty gritty in which I thought they were going to, you know, like as far as me talking about this and why it's a problem and all this stuff. So again, it's good conversation, but I was hoping for something a little bit more dig. Like the idea here, it's silly, it's like unnecessary, there's superfluous, right? And so it's really more extra than it needs to be, right? And so I understand that point, but for me, again, I don't want to use Filipinx, and I have videos on this for reasons why. And so again, like I said, I'm only a strong opponent against Filipinx for the reasons I listed out. So again, if you enjoyed this video, put your comments below. And again, see you in the next video. You can follow me on my Instagram at Hey Mitch. You can follow me on my joint Instagram at It's Mandatory Fun, where I do other videos for my friend Jen. I'm also on Parlor, Maverick Mitch, and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace, peace, peace. Be with you.